branding in 2025, it's all about how you can make people feel something. You ever walk into a spot, maybe a cafe, and instantly feel like, yeah, this is my vibe. The music, the colors, every tiny detail of the whole place, it just works for you. You're not just drinking coffee, you're having the whole experience yourself. But then there are some spots wherein you just enter and you're like, okay, I'll just grab my coffee and just probably just stay for 5 minutes because I don't feel like staying. And after that, you just forget everything about the cafe or like even the spot you went to. And the next time you just see the spot, you'd be like, oh no, I'm not going there. So lately I've been cafe hopping in Korea because I'm currently based here. I just want to point out the contrast is wild. Some places, some cafes you walk in, the branding is just so dialed in. Like the moment you walk in, you just understand why it's like that. But then some other places, some cafes, you're just like, okay, this is the name, and then this is the vibe. This is the coffee, and this is how they are as the whole thing, and I just don't get it. Like, I just forget about it. That's the thing I want to point out today. It's not about having the flashiest, best logo you can ever have, or even having the biggest marketing budget. It's all about the connection that you give to other people and to your audience. Branding is an invisible thread that ties people to your brand or to your business or even to you yourself. And so here's the question. Why do some brands just effortlessly click and some others, they just, I'm here and I fade away? So a lot of businesses, maybe even you trying to build a personal brand, and even myself, it's still a work in progress. I am still a work in progress. That we struggle, that we don't have enough clarity of how we want to present ourselves, especially with the trends changing and all that stuff. You see this type of brand and you would be like, I want this, but then the next day you feel like there's another brand that you want to follow or imitate or like you get inspired to. And so the biggest struggle with branding and identity is really the clarity in it. And that's okay. I just want to say that's valid because even I myself struggle with that. So clarity isn't always obvious, especially when you're on the grind of building a business, building a brand, that you just, of course, want to get those consumers in there, your customers, your audience into your products or your services. And so branding is always somehow the least, for some people, for some businesses, branding isn't their priority. It's just, we need to get out there. People just know us. Friends can share about me and all that stuff. We don't care about branding. And so even if clarity isn't there are people that can help you, and that's where I come in. So we help brands figure that out. Clarity, branding, identity, everything in there. Everything in one place. But today, I am going to share to you the same blueprint that I share with my clients on how, when it comes to branding, on how we're going to do it and how we figure things out for themselves. Whether you're building a broad brand for the whole mass or just like a niche type of audience or narrowing your focus on a specific audience, I am here for you. So I've got branding tips to help you crush it in 2025. So branding in 2025, it's all about the feeling. The feels that you just feel there. And here's the thing about branding in 2025, which I really love. And it's not being the loudest. It's not being the most innovative. It's not being the most creative. It's just being yourselves. It's just being authentic on how you present the brand. Branding in 2025, it's all about how you can make people feel something. It's just really the emotions there because they just stay. Branding today is no longer just your logo. It's not just the fonts you use. It's not just about the colors. It's about the experience you make people feel when they see you as a brand, even if it's a personal brand, a product-based brand, or even a service-based brand. You just make people feel something. And so here's what changed in 2025 for marketing. Number one, people want realness now. They want authenticity. The way you present yourself, the way you are as a brand, is just people will love you for who you are. In life, why are we in live sessions now? But in life, they say like, you can't forever pretend to somebody you probably like or you want somebody to like you, and then you pretend to be someone they love. Because again, in the long run, authenticity, the way you are as a person, will always be revealed like in the process. And so now for branding, that's the same thing. If you're authentic with who you are and you're just not imitating or you're not pretending to be this kind of brand, people just want your authenticity. They do not want to see perfection right now. Consumers want to see the behind the scenes, the messy stuff, but they just really want to see what the journey and the human side of the brand, which is contradicting because AI right now is a trend. And I just want to say AI is a good thing. It's a helpful tool for sure. But also at the same time, now that you can see a lot of people using AI, I don't know if you noticed this, but this is what I noticed, even with myself. I was using AI last year, and I still use AI right now. But the way AI is right now, you just know. The way you just read something or the way you see something, it's AI based. There's no more human touch in it. And I think that's one of the things that make me somehow separate or like flee away. I don't know the right term, like flee away from the brand because I feel, oh, this is just really all about AI. And so even if I use AI, and this is one tip, if you use AI, make sure that you yourself, you read the whole thing, you share something personal and all that, because it really helps people when they read something, your personal experience, and that's what makes you authentic for 2025 and the way you present yourself. And also like right now for branding, it's more of community over followers. Nobody cares right now with how much followers you have. Brands right now, they're not chasing metrics anymore. And I mean, it feels good to have 1,000 followers, 100,000 followers, even millions. But at the same time, it's all about building a connection with the community, building with people you can relate to. The main thing that I realized was building a brand, building whether it's a personal brand or a business brand, it's really about connecting to people, connecting to the right audience, because not everybody is your audience. Branding in 2025, building the right community, the right audience, I think more valuable than getting all those attention from people, but then nobody even connects with you. Yeah, that's one thing I just wanted to point out. So in 2025, if your brand doesn't make people feel something, then I guess there's something wrong with it. So now we have 3 branding lanes, which is the broad, the narrow, and the niche. So the question is, how do you decide where your brand fits in? So I'm gonna break it down with, I just wanna say, it's not authentic of me to just think, maybe you guys think I just talk, but I have like points here, because I don't wanna give you the wrong information. We're going to break down the 3 main branding approaches and figure out which one aligns with your vision. So broad branding, which is the mass appeal, the major impact. Broad branding is about casting a wide net. Think about Starbucks, Apple, Nike. I'm not sponsored in any way, but if you want to do that, thank you. Please reach out to me in my emails. But brands that appeal to millions while still feeling personal. But here's the catch. In 2025, this broad brand is getting into that niche specific or narrowing down their audience, because it's no longer enough to just exist in the masses. You've got to create micro experiences for those people that can relate to your brand. So here are some tips for broad branding in 2025. Number 1, you find your core emotional driver. Is it comfort? Is it ambition? Is it joy? Is it sadness? I don't know. But just people trying to relate to your brand. You just really need to find that connection within your people, within the audience you want to target. Number 2, you stay consistent but personalize the small stuff. So number 3, you make it feel local even if it's global. But the thing is, within that, it's a global brand, but with each and every country, I think it varies now that they see how trends in market change and how people respond to them. When I say make it feel local, even when it's global, Starbucks, we all know Starbucks is a big brand. It's a global coffee shop franchise. But in the Philippines, we have, I think also it started with probably in the US, but we have Starbucks and there's a Starbucks Reserve. So Starbucks is just the usual Starbucks in the stores, in the malls, and wherever you drive in. But the Starbucks Reserve is a more elevated brand of Starbucks in the Philippines and in other places, but in the Philippines, it's a more elevated brand wherein they use, I think, I've been in a Starbucks Reserve, but during that time I wasn't into marketing, so I'm like, it's just the usual Starbucks, but it's more expensive. The thing is, when Starbucks Reserve, the beans that they use is more probably premium and something you can't get with the usual Starbucks. And of course, again, the price range is higher in Starbucks Reserve. One more example is, I remember, I haven't been here, but in Korea, there's, again, usual Starbucks for sure. But in a specific city here in Korea, there's a Starbucks Hanok theme. Hanok is like a traditional house here in Korea. And the way Starbucks did was they have their brand, they got into the Korean community, did some deep diving research, and then infused those culture in coffee and the Hanok in the Korean culture. So I think because one thing, just want to say, Korea cafe culture is crazy. If you think you have enough cafes in your community, in your city, I live 3 hours away from Seoul, and Seoul has probably the most cafes you could ever think of. But in here, like recently, my friend, I asked her opinions on cafes I want to go to and all that stuff. And I just want to say, I never saw how much cafes there are here in the city, the way people are trying to follow trends and all that kind of stuff. Here in Korea is really fast, that even big brands might even not be in the community already. They just don't give people the same feeling of the way they made people feel a few years ago. I think that's one thing Starbucks did to innovate their marketing strategy, wherein we're still here and we're going to deep dive into your community just so we can connect with you. We can connect with Koreans. Because I feel like if you do that concept where you bring Hanok and Starbucks in the US or any European countries, they'd be like, oh, it's unique, but are you guys targeting a specific audience? That kind of thing. And I think right now, branding in 2025, one way is to really connect with the locals, even if you're a global brand. So just like Starbucks, what they did in Korea, I think that was a smart move because it just keeps the brand connected to the local, even if it's a big brand, if it's a global brand. So next we have narrow branding, which is focused, intentional, and scalable. Narrow branding is the sweet spot for most growing businesses. You're not trying to be for everyone, but you're building a specific type of person. There's a specific cafe here I went to, and it has, I'm not good with architecture, but I think it was more of a modern type of feeling, but also industrial. Is that right? I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to dive into that. But it's just basically when you go in there, they have limited pastries and their coffee is just basically the most classic coffee you could ever have. It's not, oh, we have a special latte, we have a special coffee, anything like that. But the feeling that you get when you go in there, I've been there for 4 times, 5 times. And I just feel like that cafe is for people who want to work and study at the same time, but not limited to that vibe, to that study focus, to that focused cafe vibe. You can see that there are chairs for studying, for working, but then there are chairs also for people who's with friends or like going on dates and all that stuff. They probably wanted a cafe that really had that feeling, but recently I saw that they have another, like across the whole building, the whole cafe, across it, they have a small house, and it's part of their brand, But that part is more on those coffee lovers who wants to have that experience. And probably, I think they're also teaching now. And I think that's one thing with the narrow branding, wherein you started with a specific type of people, but then it's not limited to that. You just want to try to expand. Not maybe globally, but everybody wants to be a global brand. But at the same time, just that narrow branding, not being limited to a specific people, specific audience, but more on let's do this, let's try this, and expand to more stuff in the future, which I think is okay. And even in my marketing agency, I felt like right now, this is my third rebranding, you guys. I just want to say, if there's anybody who wants to know about branding and what goes into that process, that would be like me. Because seriously, I've been rebranding my marketing agency 4 years, 3 rebrands. But then this time, when I went here in Korea, I felt like I had more clarity on what I wanted to do as a brand owner, building my personal brand, building a business brand, and all that. So initially, before, I only had a marketing agency and I wasn't building a personal brand. And I didn't want to be in there. I didn't want to be in front of people because I'm an introvert, you guys, even if I'm working in marketing. But I felt like it was just really something, those 2 brands that I had, I felt like it was just really niche focused, which we're going to dive into later. I felt like it was just really niche focused, that I was just limited to a specific audience and I can't dive into other industries. Even if other people, they ask me if I can provide services for them, but after that, they're just not confident of my brand that it can help them scale. Whereas right now, we went to all the industries already that we could ever dive into. Right now, Creative Co. is a multi-brand, which I hope is the final brand that really sticks out to people. Because I feel more confident about it. I feel more authentic with it because it just separated everything about branding. We have a lot of accounts, that's one thing, but it just separates everything from each other while still connecting everything with each other. I think with Creative Co right now, we narrow branded because we wanted to cater different types of people. Where in Creative Co Studios, we have, sorry, this is not like a plug, but it's basically, I feel like it's just basically the way I want to present myself also with branding right now that we're talking about. But Creative Co Studios is more of a media marketing service wherein we help people with content creation. We shoot videos for them, we shoot photos for them, we edit everything. So from that start to the finish, from marketing strategy, all that ads, we have everything, and websites too. Where in Creative Co Social, which is me, it is more of a marketing consultant, marketing girly there that does marketing, but is building a personal brand, trying to connect people with how she is and how I am, yeah. Because I felt like in the brands that I've built before, I just didn't feel any authenticity there. I wanted it to look like, oh, this is perfect, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I just didn't feel the right connection with it. Wherein right now, Creative Co is really something I cherish. I already separated each brand with the functions that they can give to specific people. And lastly, for Creative Co Hub, I just want to do this fast. Creative Co Hub is more of giving back to the people and sharing my experience, because I started as a freelancer when I was a student. So those students right now, I know, like, you guys, you really want to help your parents earn money even when you're studying right now, and I do understand that. But there are some limitations, really, especially for those students, and that's one thing I wanted to really deep dive into. I made a freelancer guide for those students out there, or freelancers anyway. It's just not for students, it's also for freelancers who wants to start their freelancing journey in 2025. And I just don't want to be marketing much with promotions right now, but that's just one specific way of narrow branding wherein you started with a specific one and then you just went into other audiences that you feel like you can connect into. Yeah, so for my tips for narrow branding, you own a specific space in your audience mind. You build stories around your brand. People love to feel in the know of things. They want to know why this brand just is there. You see, there's like purpose in it. And lastly, you use social media for deep, not wide engagement. Deep engagement wherein you just, again, connect with this type of audience and then you connect with another type of audience that you feel like you can expand into. So it's not about being popular, it's about being unforgettable to your people, to your audience, and those people who are interested in you. So lastly, niche branding, I can say, really is a power for micro communities. I think it's one of the fastest way to grow your brand, really is to niche brand. It's more of like obsession of this is just what I want. This is the specific people I target. This is the only interests we are in that type of brand. So it's like you don't need millions of followers. You just need the right people, which that was my thinking before. And even now, like, I feel like if people ask me, like, why are you doing this? Like, all these. It's just basically me trying to help other people as well. Trying to make this work be more purposeful, be more helping to other people. And that's the thing. There's a specific cafe here that only serves matcha. And those people who loves matcha, they know that cafe really specifically gives them a good experience of what matcha tastes and feels. And so I think that's one thing with niche branding. Like, even if there's just one thing that you offer to people, there's one product, there's one service you offer to people, but people will line up for you. People will just fill in your calendar and all that because you have that specific niche branding. And it works for some people. It did somehow work for me as well, but I just didn't want to be limited with niche branding. And most of the time with niche branding, they also expand to narrow branding in the future. They just really start small. And so if you want to start small and not get pressured with everything that's happening around here, if you want to build a personal brand or a business brand, make sure that you can start with a niche branding so that you will be able to really figure out the things for yourself and the people you want to cater to. Tips for niche branding in 2025 is you go deep but not wide. You serve a hyper-specific audience better than anyone else. You build a community space, either this Discord, private Facebook groups, or even in-person meetups. And then you turn customers into, it's a Christian way of saying evangelists. You turn your customers into people who will tell other people about you. That's how I want to wrap up with broad branding, narrow branding, and niche branding. And so if you're curious about all those, give me a call. So how do we leverage branding in 2025? Here is the blueprint. So no matter what branding lane you take into, either broad branding, narrow branding, niche branding, whatever suits you, here's how to stand out in 2025. Number one, clarity is key. If your audience can't describe your brand in one sentence, then you're confusing them. So if you ask me, how about Creative Co? You have a lot of things you cover. Can people describe you? Not everybody can get it all in one because we're still introducing the new brand to people. But one thing I can say is we are an all-in-one co. This is why it's a Creative Co, because we want to connect to people. We want to build the company as well. We want to collaborate with people. We want to connect with people. We just want to be an all-in-one co. Everything's in the brand. That's my vision for the brand. As I've said a while ago, we use AI, but keep it human. You can ask AI for something. Give me a specific caption for this. Give me this, that, blah, blah, blah. Get everything. So again, keep it authentic to yourself and to your brand. You can't just use AI and just post everything there. It can help, maybe, in some ways. It will help. But at the same time, it's not going to be for long term because people are just fast also in getting what they need from AI. Being personal matters more than ever because human connection is still the end game. Number 3, focus on micro moments. It's not always about the big campaigns, so it's always the tiny details. It's not the big campaigns wherein we give this to you, we give that. But some small, you know how they say small things matter. And sometimes the smallest thing that you could ever think of or you can give a person, you give your audience, is something that can resonate with them, something they can relate to, and something that would stick towards the end. So that's one thing. Next would be turning your audience into community. Followers scroll, but communities stay. So you need to create spaces where people can connect with you and with each other. That's what we're trying to build. We're still in the process of doing the hub thing, but basically it's just really us trying to help people connect with people as well. I think that's one thing that you can really incorporate with people. You create the space for them to feel safe, like somebody understands them. And that, for me, is one of the biggest thing that you could ever give to people. It seems small, but at the same time, it's one of the biggest impact that you could ever give to people is building a space that is safe for them to be vulnerable, to share something that they want to share. Yeah. Okay, number 5, design for shareability. We all know the feeling, all that stuff. But again, visuals still matter for 2025 and it is growing. Like, visuals really is a big thing with people right now. And even like you can be the greatest person, the greatest marketer, the greatest cafe you could ever be. But then if your visuals doesn't align with people's interests, it's not visually pleasing to the eyes. Shareable moments is free marketing wherein people see your market, people see the visual you put out there and they'll be like, this is nice to share. If somebody goes into your cafe, somebody goes to your business, would people take a picture of it? Would people share a video of it? Would people think that this is nice? I felt like it was a 4-year learning experience for me. And I'm just so excited to just share everything all at once. I feel like this is a podcast, but basically I think probably we have more videos coming with branding. I think I really wanted to start with branding because branding now for me is everything. I always tell it to people I'm around with. And it's just really, I feel like it's just instilled in me that branding is something that makes you feel something in you. And I just want to share something funny. I was talking with a friend and I was mentioning that, this person that we know, the person did something not bad, something out of the comfort zone or out of the personality, the character of that person. So what I said was, the way I said it was, like that, our friend is not in that branding of the person. And my friend, she just told me, girl, in the real world, it's called personality. It's called character. It's not branding. But that's what I realized because branding is the personality of your business or of something, of the brand you're building in. So that's one thing I want to leave to you guys, that your branding really matters. For 2025, either you want to build a big brand, just a medium-sized brand, and a small brand. Everything matters and it all dives into your branding, your foundations, and how you want to present yourself and how you want to connect with your audience. I just want to say thank you so much. I don't know how long I'm going to edit this because it's an hour here and I have so much cuts to do. But I feel like it's a productive way of also just debriefing myself, brain dumping, and I feel like this is a podcast, you guys. I did enjoy this, but I'm tired now. But yeah, so what do you think is your brand vibe? Is it narrow? Is it a broad one? Is it a niche specific type of brand? If that's anything, can you please let me know in the comments? Like, drop in the comments. I want to know, and I want to see like the way you want to present yourself as a brand, and maybe if you're already an existing brand. But I really am curious about people's brands and how they built it and how just the journey of everything. And if you're still stuck figuring it out, you know where to find me. My socials are all there below. You can just send me an email, send us an email, all that stuff. We're here for you. So yeah, if you might be able to help me, if you can hit subscribe and maybe comment and share this to a friend or a business owner that you think would need this type of video, please do so. So that's it for today's video, guys. I have missed talking to you guys and I've missed this platform, but yeah, I think there's more things coming this 2025, so I hope you all stick in to the brand. That's it for today. I told you, when I start yapping, cannot leave. It's an hour video? Dude, what is this, Kiel? And you survived. Nice.